Welcome back, everyone, to the Jiu Jitsu Files. As always, here with me, Mr. Eric Medina.
Episode 7.
Episode 7. I'm Joey Hauss. And yeah, today we were walking around our beautiful area of Lake Arrowhead. We were in a place called Tavern Bay. And it's cool because, we're kind of in this creative phase between us creating this podcast right now. We talked about on the last episode that we're both currently in the process of creating a tournament company or creating different tournament companies, but we'll probably end up helping each other with our different tournaments. And we've just been kind of talking about all the things that we've been lucky to be a part of within our lives, the different tournaments that we've helped, the different tournaments we've set up on our own. We did a little thing called Jiu Jitsu in the Park not too long ago. And we also did these different Jiu Jitsu at the beach events with our good friend Andrew Murillo as well. And so we're kind of just talking about kind of creating another cool Jiu Jitsu outdoor experience. And then we got kind of talking about just the creative process in general, what it takes to create these different things, recognizing that we've been able to create all sorts of different things in our lives. And we've had different friends that have had different visions for different things, but things just never panned out. And it was kind of, we were talking about the things that kind of separated the fact that we were able to do certain things while other people maybe had certain visions, but never were able to kind of see them into fruition.
Yeah, I think we were just we had pen to paper and we're looking at okay, what are the jobs? Okay, tournament director, tournament coordinator, blah, 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 referee. I remember we were just vibing on that.
Yeah.
And it's okay, there were times where we were in a group setting, maybe a small business, and you got 5 guys, but one of them is in the wrong spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of learning and knowing people's strengths and stuff. But if you have somebody in the wrong spot and it's a key spot, it tends to fail,
Sure.
right? And then people butt heads and okay, so now I don't necessarily like to work with somebody like that.
Yeah.
And so things pan out differently. And I know you're going to have your event, I'm going to have mine. We'll back each other up. But it's also when you have a like-minded person, you could bounce stuff off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you getting your mats? Where are you getting your, and even the school, all sorts of other nonsense of where do you get your toilet paper? Where do you get your, all the mundane things that are so important for the day-to-day running of a school, a business, and a mastermind, your group of friends, your group of buddies that have been there with you. Those are the people that you could rely on for data.
Yeah, I've always heard the term, your network is your net worth. And within kind of creating tournaments, creating outdoor events, that's been so true because sometimes it is I have this big vision for this thing, but I need mats. It's actually, I have an abundance of mats. Would you like to use those? Absolutely. I need a space. Yeah.
I have mats, but I can't transport them.
I
got it. Yeah, this is the game of I mean, we're little kids. Okay, I have marbles. What do you got? You know.
And I think another part of it, and we mentioned it yesterday, or on the last episode of the podcast, the importance of being willing to fail forward. Because no matter what it is that you do, when you start in any endeavor, sure, people have natural tendencies to be good at different things, but you're not going to be as good at the thing as you would like to be. Even an example was us doing this podcast. We kind of, one day we were just kind of talking about it and it was well, I do have the stuff. Hey, let's just do it. And there is a level of well, I don't know how to edit, blah, blah, blah. And it's yeah, we'll figure all that part out. And because I am a firm believer that right now we're just doing it. I think Chris Rock had this thing that he talked about of when your car is broken down on the side of the street and you're just sitting there, people aren't going to be inclined to help you. But if you start pushing your vehicle on your own, people are going to be more likely to stop and to help out. And I think I've encountered so many people.
That's cool.
I have this idea and I want to do this thing, but I don't I'm going to need a guy to do this and I'm going to need a guy to do that. And then it just they don't start where they're at with what they have. And then it just never becomes a thing where I look at even just this podcast, I don't like editing. I don't like doing any of that thing, but it's I love the idea of doing the podcast and that will, that we can talk to. Essentially, it's our group of friends. If this thing gets bigger and a bunch of people are listening, awesome. But it's one, I'm thinking of just my community I want to serve. And then it's like, oh, well, like then we can also clip these things and make social media stuff. And it's just like, okay, like I also think it would just be a fun thing to do. And it's like, all right, well, we have the ability to start it.
Yeah,
let's just start with where we're at.
And we were like, okay, like what are we going to talk about? Like current events? Like I don't know. Like let's just start like we're bullshitting. We're telling stories.
Yeah,
we're vibing. X, Y, and Z, going down memory lane, and then like things are also happening. We're signing up for tournaments. The schools are growing. Like we're competing. Okay, now we're running tournaments, and we've been doing these things. We've been running tournaments,
yeah.
But I remember like the very first thing we kind of did was LAJJ Club 1.0. This is Mats at the House, right? And whether or not it had been done before, probably, of course, right? But the way that we did it, like we didn't ask for permission. We didn't we didn't have any plan. We're just like, oh, like we got mats at the house. Cool. Open mat tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who wants to do a seminar? Oh, like our homies that are elites.
Yeah.
Boom. Cool. So like we were doing like small, like intimate 20-man seminars with like Gordon Ryan, Boogie, Gary Tonin, Kashino, Samir Chantry, and like getting like high quality instruction from like elites that are just like, oh yeah, we're down. Well, we're in LA. We'll spend the night with you guys and we'll teach in the morning or something like that. And from that tiny bit, we met so many friends who now have their own schools.
Yeah.
Right. I'm lucky I get to coach at CSUN now. It was part of like a whole tournament organization that we created with our roommates, the guys we lived with.
A lot of the people were just like our friends that were just kind of beginning their jiu-jitsu journey that eventually became things. I remember Marvin Castell before he hit that Imanari rule that ended up getting millions of views on YouTube. That kind of like helped skyrocket his whole career. He ended up getting a match with like Nicky Ryan and all this, but he did his very first seminar at the house. And I was like, he taught some cool things. I learned X break, and he was doing all these things. I also remember Keith Krikorian taught a seminar, and that was like shortly after he had won the
Deep Waters.
It wasn't the Deep Waters. It was that other tournament we did at
Submission Showdown.
It was like in Orange County at the high school that we did, and
that was Esperanza.
Yes, and he was our absolute winner.
It's like OC Open or something.
And then also Kendall Rusing also won it. So it was like all these people that that were like in our ecosystem, but they weren't who they ended up becoming yet. I think that's also like a big part of it as well. Like kind of, I don't want to say investing in people in different ways where it's, you can do a seminar at our house and there's like a level of people eventually become, who they become.
Yeah. So like when you talk about like failing forward, it's like when we did this, there was no expectations. So it's like there was no pressure. Like, who gives a shit? There was no like money on the line. So then when we did jiu-jitsu in the park, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
It was no expectation. We're like, okay, let's just bring the mats out to the park, call the homies. And like, it was a beautiful day. It was so much fun, better than anybody ever anticipated.
I also remember that one was like kind of the way how we just kind of had it. It was during the time of Metamoris. And this was when Halleck Gracie, he had mentioned that nobody cares about women's jiu-jitsu unless they're hot. And I remember the jiu-jitsu community did not like that. And I remember like a lot of people wanted to like go to the next Metamoris and protest the event. And we had talked together and were like, well, that's like a silly thing. Like we shouldn't go and just like pick it. We should do an event in lieu of watching Metamoris. And what we did was we did the Jiu-Jitsu in the Park event. And I remember
that was the same day?
Yeah, it was the same day. That was why we did it on the day. And I remember we had only expected
a silent protest.
Yeah, exactly.
This is before like January 6th and also, like
this is the big thing in the world. Halleck Gracie saying some stupid nonsense. But I remember what was cool about it was that we, as you said, like we had no expectations. We're like, like our friends will show up and it'll be like a fun thing. And it was like 300 people showed up.
We had like every kind of mat that there was. We had rollout mats, we had tatami mats, we had like puzzle mats, we had gymnastics crash pads, yoga mat.
If you got a mat, bring some mats. And it was like such a community driven event, and things that didn't pan out that we wanted as far as jiu-jitsu in the park goes, as far as people going separate ways within it. But then we'd also done like the jiu-jitsu at the beach events with our good friend Drew Murillo, where we kind of also linked up with Donna Gonzalez, and we did the mat therapy.
That's something too, like when you have something and you like, it's cool. It doesn't need to have a shape or direction.
Yeah.
But then when you start to add people to it, like then they want to take the helm or they want to do something, and it changes softly, it changes, and then it's no longer the thing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, sometimes like when you're dealing with people like that, it's like, oh, I knew you, but I didn't know that part of you.
Sure.
You know, and like we kept doing it. We kept doing all sorts of nonsense. Like we never took off the gas, but it's pivoted so many different times.
Yes.
I think COVID really like took the gas off because we didn't know what was going on, right?
Yeah.
And to be safe and to have like to not like get in trouble, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like everything stopped. But slowly as like we started to come out, like, all right, like what's next? Like what are we doing next? And I found like that was a time when I was like, okay, I just got my black belt. It's like, oh, time to open a school.
Yeah.
You know, and when you have a school, like that's like that baby that like for the first year or two, like you can't leave it. You got to like be there every day, day in, day out. Like, you know, you don't have any help. You got to make everybody. And I felt like I wasn't able to do events, but events were so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, and now like we're getting back to it, and you know we were just vibing, and you know we're here in Lake Arrowhead and just seeing how beautiful it is, and like okay, we're looking at like, is that a flat piece of land right there? Can we put mats right there? Like, oh, are there bathrooms right here? Like, because there's like certain logistics, right?
Yes.
Where are we at right now? Can we even get a truck over here?
Yes.
No, we can't. Like, we're gonna have to freaking wagon wheel. Everybody grabs a mat. We'll put it out. Maybe we have to get an overhead tarp. And it's like now the little logistics behind of like what it takes to create an event, a party, a festival. You know what I'm saying? That's like that's fun for all.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel that there's also like a level of I feel like of believing in the event in the first place. Like, hey, I think this would be a good idea. And I do think it's like, it's almost, there's like an excitement built around the idea of the thing.
So when you have like an idea and like it's nothing, right? But you start to feed it, you start to like vibrate with it, and it's like, oh, like I'm getting excited. That's like a important thing. If you're not excited, it's gonna die.
Yes.
Or you're gonna drag your feet. If you got 3 people that are pumped up and one person that's like, oh, it's not gonna work, get the hell out of here. You're wasting our energy, our mental energy. You know, that's like part of it too. Like if you have a homie that's like a downer, like you got to cut them because they're stealing your energy. They're an energy vampire. Where the same. So this is what is a quote of the week, right? It's like the same energy that you spend fearing something or delaying something, if reversed, would give you everything you want.
Yeah.
Right. Boom. 7 a.m. comes around. You hit the snooze alarm. Like, oh no, I don't want to get up. Like 7 a.m. comes around. You freaking wake up. You go. Like, boom. Two scenarios, right?
Yeah.
But one, you turn the delay into action.
Yeah.
And you're going to do something with it. And I feel that with us, Joey, we never had like to ask for permission. We didn't really know, but we had enough homies that, oh, I don't know how to do this. Like I do. Like, right. Like Octavio knows how to do like the light wall. Raph, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, he knows how to talk. Like, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. Right.
Raph's going to give us so much shit for this podcast.
And then like you were in the wrong spot of like the tech / smooth comp guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, we talked about, oh, you drew this. You kind of maybe did. I don't know if we draw straws. Did we draw straws for that one?
We didn't draw straws, but it was just like where I ended up.
There was one situation where we did draw straws.
Sure.
Like,
we've done that with a lot of the different businesses.
So like, okay, like nobody wants to do this job. Okay, draw straws. Everybody's up for cheating right now. But like, yeah, because like there's certain jobs, certain positions that like nobody wants to do.
Yeah.
And like they end up being the most important ones. And like sometimes like I am in a position in my life where like every time I try to skirt out of a duty or a responsibility, I pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, and like a lot of times, dude, like, you know, I didn't care about like school or anything like that. But now what do I do every day? Study on my own.
Sure.
For what? Because I freaking was a knucklehead and thought that I could postpone it. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like little things like that. Like if you are in the process of leveling up, you sometimes have to go back and fix it or correct it or embrace that had to happen for you to do this now.
Yeah.
You know?
I also think it's important because, as you mentioned, right, like the energy that you have, because I do feel that, especially like in a creative process, whether you're starting a podcast, opening a school, whatever, or starting a business of any kind, it's like the 3 things that you have to like really take into consideration. It's like it's time, energy, and money. And there's like levels of, on some level, like all of these things are, we're limited by them, but you can kind of, hey, if I have a deficit in one, I can make it up with another thing, right? If like I'm lacking, if I want to be a part of some kind of company, right? We can always kind of like, well, I don't have money, but I can always like get sweat equity. I'll get my percentage within this company by doing all the work. If you look at like the old UFCs, it was like the Fertitta brothers were like the big owners, and then Dana White was like the small percentage owner, but like they didn't do anything. They just put all the money in. He was the guy like, I'm going to do all of the work. And that was like how he got like his share in it. And I think like when it comes to starting any kind of new endeavor, you have to like take these three things into account. And then also, is this endeavor, is it giving me more energy? Is it giving me more time? Or is it giving me more money as well? And I feel like you have to understand how to navigate these things, because I do feel, especially when you start a new thing, you can also, it's easy to look at all these things as your limiting factor. I would love to do a podcast. I would love to open up a jiu-jitsu gym. I don't have the time for that. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I'd love to open a gym.
Yeah.
I don't have the money for that.
When you're like manifesting and when you're creating, and this is what we're doing, we're manifesting, right? Like there's a blank slate. There's $1 million check out there. You don't worry about the cannots.
Yes.
That's like, you're gonna get caught up in what you think you know.
Yes.
Right? Because the unknown is like infinite. You hear so many things, right? There's so many possibilities. But if you approach it from, well, last time I did this and blah, 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 and I've done it before one time and it didn't work out. It's like, okay, like you're bringing that to this new situation, and you don't need to know how to connect all the dots right away.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your next step? And I feel like even with this podcast, it was like, all right, well, I have the recording stuff because if I do breathwork events, and we do use we have with headphones, I do online things like the microphones we have. I have a friend that's in production that lent me the Tascam. We have the cameras that we had for like different projects.
I've been on 1 million podcasts. Yeah. Like I talk every day to my students, to my people, and like, okay, like, yeah, well it's no easy, it's no problem. Like, we'll do it.
And that was like, I think the beginnings was like, I do, and it's not like the other part of it, the other end isn't also there. Like, we should do a podcast. Like, well, when are we going to find time? All that, like, it exists. But I do things like, what are you feeding the most? And I think for us with this, and then with the schools and the tournaments and the events, it's like the determining factor, I think, is like, that would be exciting to do. What do we need to do to start it?
When we were on the walk earlier, you talked about like creating an ecosystem.
Yes.
This is like a part of it, right?
Yes.
So it's like a what is it, like a sound chamber or like an echo chamber?
An echo chamber in a way,
echo chamber, right? It's like you're feeding me information, I'm feeding you information. Subconsciously, it's gonna take hold and something's gonna grow.
Yes.
All of a sudden, I got an opportunity with like USA Grappling to run like the trials. There's other things going on. Like it is coincidence, or it is taking advantage of opportunity, or you're always looking for opportunity. And when we say like, oh, like you don't have to have it all figured out, to tie it back into jiu-jitsu, like, and by the way, everything's jiu-jitsu too, but to tie it back and like, okay, like competition, like there's been many a times where like, dang, like I don't know how I'm gonna win. Yeah. But I'm going to win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just part of like, dude, I just top, bottom, left, right, leg lock. I don't know. I don't know. Just don't give up. Rely on your fundamentals. You've been here before, and you're in the flow. It's just don't give up. Find a way to like slow it down.
Yeah.
See what you can see. Maybe perceive something that's not there, and then willpower. Yeah. Willpower times 100. Believe, rally. If you feel yourself giving up, like let it wash through you. And those are the days when you're tired, or maybe like, I remember when we first started our business, we had a $500 payday, and then like we had a $500 refund. I was like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like those things happen, dude.
And I love that you mentioned like the ecosystem, because I also feel like there is the other end of the creative process, right? Where, just knowing all sorts of people and learning from my own personal mistakes and learning from other people's mistakes. There's the one of like the people that it's like hard to sometimes just get started because if you lack some kind of confidence, or you're looking at the like, well, what if I don't have the time, effort, energy? And then the other end is like the people that that maybe like have their hands in too many things, and all of a sudden like they're spinning too many plates and things start to fall apart. And I love that you brought up like the fact that the way I see it is like building the ecosystem, because of like for me, like my gym is number one priority, but I look at all the different things. Like I love the area I live in. I love like the wider community of Lake Arrowhead. I love the small community of our jiu-jitsu. I love the wider jiu-jitsu community. And like these are like the things I'm trying to serve. Well, it's like, well, my gym is like my community of people. And there's a level I do see like with this podcast, and it's like even full disclosure, because I think that's like a cool thing that's part of this new like media form. It's not that new, but like this media form is that it's like, like we get to kind of talk out our creative process. Well, there's a level of within these podcasts, we're going to clip stuff that's going to get people that are maybe interested in our gyms to check out our social media. And when they check out our social media, they're like, oh, these are some personal guys. I like them. I also like that, like I'm trying to get my team to compete. Well, it's like, well, I want like people to come up to our area to compete. And it's like, as you mentioned, developing the ecosystem.
So like, why would they come to your gym? Right? It's like, well, this guy is a vetted black belt. He's a competition black belt.
Yeah.
He's trained multiple champions, he works with kids, adults, little ones, men, women, children, he's a high school coach. He's a you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like all the check in the boxes that create authenticity. Flip it around, and that's like your confidence, right? And it's like, okay, like what gives you the right to even get up here? And anybody could do anything and say anything, right? But it's like when you have authenticity, it's like it's different because your voice carries more weight.
Sure.
And sometimes like, it's a difference between like, oh, we're bullshitting, like, oh, actually, like that was a command.
Yeah.
That was an issue. That was like you're issued an order, and the next part is like for the universe to carry it out. And when you start to play like that, like Danny will be like, oh, be careful what you wish for, right? But it is like, okay, not hurting nobody, like figuring it out. And it's been so cool. But this next little chapter, like we're fired up. We got like events, we got retreats, we got seminars, we got tournaments. And it's really like LAJJ Club 2.0.
Sure.
And even like, so LAJJ Club, Los Angeles Jiu-Jitsu Club, but LAJJ Club is also
Lake Arrowhead
Jiu-Jitsu, right? So all the things like line up to like, oh, like we're on the path. You know what I'm saying? It's not, all the breadcrumbs are there. We just got to flesh it out and put pen to paper and really start to be more, like there, you can never have enough discipline. And discipline is right there with consistency.
Yeah.
And then those are the things that get anything going, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a definite purpose, somewhat of an outline or a plan to get to where you want.
Yes.
And then back it up with like effort.
Yes.
And you could bring people in to help you and offload and like carry you along too.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, like time,
energy
and money. So then now if you have a little money, like, let me hire that tech guy.
Yes.
Let me hire somebody that like is an expert in their field.
Yeah.
So that way I could be free to do what I got to do, right?
And also like on the other end of that, I believe that, as I said, right now it's like I'm editing all the things, we're talking, we're doing all this stuff. I'm like a firm believer that like it's not even that we'll have to go out and be like, hey, like let's hire a guy. I believe that at some point someone's going to be listening to this and they're like, I love the podcast. I think there's a little bit better they can do video and audio wise. Like I'm going to see how I can help them out, because I've just experienced it so many times in life. And I firmly believe that if you're on something that you're excited about, that it's almost like there's the breadcrumb that like other people would be excited about it as well.
It's in the world, Joey, like sometimes you like I'll be like in my day and like, all right, I'm being all crazy. I feel good. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just meet someone, you're like, hey, what's up? How are you doing today? Whatever. Like, oh, what floor? We're in the elevator. What floor are you going to?
Yeah.
Oh, like, what are you guys here for? A little bit extra, right?
Sure.
A little bit. When I was on my flight to Texas, I sat next to the gentleman, like, oh, what's up? You're like, your Marine sweater? You're Marine too? Oh, like, cool. Semper Fi, like,
yeah.
Boom. An hour-long talk with the vet right there, just like bullshitting, saying we deployed in the same time. But it's like you have that little bit of magnetism, that spark that like people enjoy.
Yeah.
Or if they don't enjoy it, like, oh, you're a freaking dark energy. Like, because people will real quick like, no, I don't want to play with nobody. I want to be by myself. And like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like a plane is a perfect example of that. You're going to sit next to a stranger for like 2.5 hours. This guy doesn't even look at you. Bro, come on. Hey,
Yeah.
what's up? Like, how are you?
Yeah. We will be sharing this space
Seriously, though.
uncomfortably for the next long time.
But people could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I try to be friendly with everybody, but like, if you're not gonna meet me halfway, then like, oh, like you're losing out.
Yeah.
Because the connection is gonna be no longer extended because I need my energy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a saying I love. It's like your vibe attracts your tribe. And I feel that it's like, because I think those are like I think the two big things are, one, there's like a self-belief of like, hey, like, I want to do this thing and I think I'm capable of doing it. I think I have to get started. It won't be perfect, but I think I need to just get started doing it. And so there's like that self-belief of just getting the ball rolling. But it is like, if you've created like a reputation for yourself, like, I start things and I see them to completion, and the things I create are interesting and exciting, other people would be like, hey, like, I like that thing you do. In fact, I'm actually an expert in this. I can help you in that. And all of a sudden, I think things start building on top of it, because it's so interesting that we've like, just the more we do like the podcast, it also gets us just hanging out more and talking more. And we start recognizing that it is like our core group of friends that we've done things in the past with. It's like, oh, they're still doing it. And it is, anytime we need someone for things, like, we can always reach out to them. I went to I've been going to like the PGFs not like pretty recently, because our good friend Andrew Murillo, he's the head referee. And, Drew has lived with us. When he started 10 Planet Marietta, we were there with him, and all these, like, but all of a sudden now he's like a head referee in PGF, and he's out doing his own exciting events. And Raph, who's been at the house all the time, and all of a sudden he's doing the submission bullpen at the event. I remember going to the first PGF that we went to, because we were invited by Drew, and all of a sudden
I got invited too, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
And I really I should have went, but there are personal reasons why I didn't go, and I should have went.
Got it, yeah. And it was like, it's so cool, because of like every time we go, it's all of a sudden like there's Brandon McCaffrey, and like I've stayed at Brandon's house doing a Wim Hof thing in Decatur, Alabama, and Brandon stayed at our house at the LA Jiu Jitsu Club like multiple times.
And Drew choked him out
during just like a late night drilling session. And like Drew's like the head referee, and Raph is doing the the submission bullpen, and all the different athletes that are competing and coaches that are coaching. And it's like, oh my goodness, like, it's all of our close friends are doing all of the things in this event that's like a giant in the jiu-jitsu community. And I feel that was also like a kind of like a piece like of the catalyst that's been kind of driving this kind of creative energy, as far as, oh yeah, like, so many of our friends that we've created with in the past are still creating, and we're still creating with like our gym and everything. But now it's like, hey, like, let's now that we're all doing our own things, let's also like create things that we can then do together. Because I think before is like, as we mentioned, like, maybe sometimes there was too many cooks in the kitchen, but now it's like we're all doing our own things. But now it's like, hey, oh, like, Raph, you're doing an event, how can I help that? Blair, you're doing an event, how can I help that? Drew, you're doing an event, how can I help that? Oh, like, hey guys, I'm doing an event, how could you guys help me with this? And I do think like your vibe attracts your tribe. That like, the more I look back at just like so many of our friends creating, it's like, oh yeah, we've created so many things in the past with them, and it's cool to see them continuing to do stuff. And then it's like, we're just kind of brainstorming, recognizing all the connections that we have, and the fact that we've definitely created all sorts of cool things in the past, and just this excitement to keep bringing exciting things, tournaments, outdoor open mats.
Yeah, dude, like I went to the Subversive, right? And like, I was like, oh man, this is cool. And it was so much fun, dude. I've never been to one before. I was sitting on the couch. I had like a front row seat. The venue was like on top of a roof in a hotel, and like, talk about like knowing everybody. We know the whole crew up and down, who's competing, who's coaching. And like, when you're have a homie that's doing a show, like, you better help them. And I look over, and like Mike and Gio are like the DJs. I'm like, oh, like, you guys are DJs, like, your day jobs. And then Gio's like, no, this is all fake. This is all a hologram. Like blah blah. I was like, oh shoot, like never mind. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. Which is like also cool is that like, yeah, you have like someone like Gio Martinez, like elite level jujitsu, recently retired, and now he's like DJing.
It's like, yeah, what can you do to help out the event? Like, oh, I could DJ. You know, it's like you'll end up doing like all these other important jobs that like help keep the show rolling. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you're not the competitor anymore and you still want to do something like that, like hit us up because we have a lot of opportunities and we're always like trying to like put people who want to do it in the right spot.
Yeah.
And like we have a bunch of homies that like our family members that like, you know, can you work the door? Can you do this? Right. But like, if you know jujitsu, like, and you want to be part of like that, like table worker, like working the finals, you know, like, cause it's an important job now. Certain things like now it starts to get pretty like, you know, the actual timekeeper on the EBI escape.
Yeah.
These are things are the what wins the matches, you know?
I remember in our last episode, you'd mentioned, during our time in the Marines, and that sometimes it's like you get called up for a working party. And sometimes it's like, we need volunteers for the working party. And it's like your job to just like raise your hand and be like, all right, I'll be a volunteer without knowing what it is. And as you mentioned, sometimes like the working party is like, hey, while the rest of them are doing some like horrible, hard training thing, we're going to be in this air conditioned room and just hanging out. Or like sometimes the working party is like, hey, this is going to suck. Everyone's going to be miserable, but that's like the working party you volunteered for. And I feel like same thing goes with this like jiu-jitsu world. Sometimes it is. And I feel like you have to be willing to raise your hand regardless of the working party, because sometimes you're going to have a shitty job. Some days like, hey, we need a referee.
Yeah, for like an example of like a cool thing, like a couple years ago, there was a Medusa. Medusa is a combat jiu-jitsu for women. It was in LA. I forget where. Not the Orpheum, but maybe somewhere. Forgive me,
I think
right?
it was the Orpheum,
So something happened where they did not have a mat for it. And I think Mike Wilson reached out on social media to put a story, hey, who's got a mat that I could borrow, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I got you.
Yeah.
Right? And then he didn't tell me anything about money or anything like that. He's like, can you get your mat here? What are the dimensions? I was like, Mike, I'm the mat guy. I have every kind of mat you need. I have wrestling mats. I have jiu-jitsu mats. I have tatame. I have yoga mats. Like, if anybody out there needs a mat, like, I'm your guy. That's my weird superpower. I just have mats.
Yeah.
And then, you know, created the dimensions that he wanted. And he was like, if you could get him here by this time, because the show needed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, say less, dude. I got a moving company. Like, I'm loading them up right now. On the back end, I had to be like, hey, class, guess what? Or school. You know, class is canceled today. I need help rolling up the mats, blah, blah, blah. But if anybody wants to come with me to offload them, I'm pretty sure we could weasel our way into the thing.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
Nobody said we could or not. Sure enough, we go. And then they're like, thank you so much. Here's a G. Your job is done.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's not. Like, we set up the mats. We did everything, dude. We put the flyers on. We kept asking what we could do to help. And sure enough, like my little crew of like 5 guys that came to just like help out, we were like key volunteers.
Yeah.
Once the show started, there was another VIP area, right? So you got the mats. It's at a nice like platform. And then they gave us our own table with bottle service. That was like, dude, so you paid us a G. The table was 500. And like we had a great time watching the show.
Yeah.
When it was over, we took the mats back home. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a great episode, but it's like you never know what you're going to get into when you say yes to an opportunity, right?
I feel one of my favorite things that was like, it was like almost like a job I had said yes to. That also like sometimes the exciting job is also going to be like scary at first. I remember the one that it scared me the most, but I had the most fun doing it, is when our good friend Blair Green reached out to me, and he was doing it was a submission only series, and it was a whole big show. Actually, you competed on it. It was for a spot onto the world's team. But there was this whole other submission only tournament.
Is it Bushido Battlegrounds?
It wasn't Bushido Battlegrounds, because that one we also got to both do as competitors and be on TV.
No. I was never on. You did Bushido Battleground.
Yeah,
I was just in the background.
Got it. Yeah,
I was a background character for that one.
But that was another cool thing that we got to do. But it was this was a submission only series. I remember when Blair had reached out to me to be kind of like a Bruce Buffer for the submission only series. It was a tournament that that you were competing at for a spot on the United States World Team, but it was like I got to sit next to Jeff Glover, who was doing the play-by-play, as well as John Evans. And I remember going to the venue and wanting to make it a point to like, all right, now that I'm here, I want to make, I've seen so many like announcers kind of do a bad job at this thing. And I want to make sure that like I do a good job. And I went to the competitors and I was like, all right, how do you pronounce your name? Wanting to make sure I pronounced everyone's name correctly. And then I was like, oh, do you have like a nickname that you want to go by? And it just so happened that like everybody was like Hispanic, that everyone had like these like Spanish nicknames. I'm like, all right, I'll figure out how to pronounce it.
Now my memory is being refreshed as you said that, because I kind of didn't. I was in my own head that day because I was competing.
Sure.
But you were the announcer, right?
Yes.
Joey, wasn't that like the first time we saw the guy? He's in the UFC. His name is
Raul Rosas. And so that was like El Niño Problema.
Yeah, but that was our first time seeing him, right?
And that was like, even like we're going through like nicknames. Even before he fought in the UFC, I just remember like, oh God, like El Niño Problema. Thank you. Like I'm like this white guy. I don't speak Spanish. I've got to like remember all these like El Mariachi. And it was just like, I remember it was like the most fun job I've ever had, as far as like with all the jiu-jitsu events that we've done and all the different ways that we've helped tournaments. That was like the most fun that I had. And it's a thing I would never have like volunteered for, of like, oh, you guys need like an announcer. I'll do that. But it is like, sometimes you do have to go out, be willing to go out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Like, dude, it's funny how like you say you would do that, but like I'd be terrified of that.
Sure.
You know? And even though you're saying like 100 words max, like it's still, you're so like the little thing about the podcast, like, yes, we do a podcast, but like I actually rarely listen to any time I'm on the podcast, on any podcast.
Yeah.
Just because like I don't really care to hear myself talk.
Sure.
You know, like, I sound like a weirdo or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm already like, whatever. I don't like, that's my own little insecurity. But to be an announcer like that, it's like one slip of the tongue, you're out, right? And then where were we? Some people be saying some wacky shit, like from like and it became lore, like Jean-Jacques Machadomy. Remember that? Like that was like lore
from the Jean-Jacques Machadomy. Oh yeah, like I don't want to be that guy that you like say something stupid and then forever like over a decade later,
all your homies roasting you still.
Yeah. So, and it's just, and I think that's like a part of like being in like, you know, working like in teams in this way. You have to be willing to sometimes step into a leadership role. And then sometimes you do have to kind of step into like a level of being like in the military when you're a private. And it's like, hey, you're going to take whatever job we give you. And it's like, yes, sir, I'm willing to do it.
I remember once, Joey, there was a promotion ceremony. And like, if you guys don't know, in the military, a promotion ceremony, everybody's standing up nice and tall, a lot of bearing, nobody's moving, and somebody's getting acknowledged, right? And it's usually you have your senior officer, whatever, your company commander, whoever is going to promote the Marine, right?
Yeah.
And this gentleman, he was a Korean Marine. His name was Kim, right? So we're all out there. But when you get promoted, like they say your full name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way like it worked out was like on this day, blah, 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 like I hereby promote Kim, you suck to and then everybody was like, you know what I'm saying?
Whole bunch of Marines losing their bearing,
dude. And it was like, it was hard. And then he started giggling too, like, because it's like, you're so in the robot routine. You're like, oh, like this, like Kim, you suck. You know what I'm saying? It was so funny, but it's like certain stuff like that is like it makes life happen, you know?
Yeah, and that's like, once again, we talked about it yesterday, like the job of the referee and what like. In so many of these things,
I see the referee doing wacky shit out there, karate, see some people. It's like,
I feel like, and like in that creative process, so you have to be also willing to like, man, I may fuck this up, and it may be embarrassing. And I think that's what stops a lot of people from starting anything, because like that's totally the fear of taking on the announcer role, or being a referee, or even like starting a podcast or whatever. Like, oh my goodness, like people are going to hear what I said, and maybe I said something and it was taken out of context, or I said something and I wasn't really thinking, and it was like all these things flood our minds, and you have to be willing to be like, okay, I'll maybe I will totally mess this up and look completely stupid, but who cares? Life goes on, and move on from it.
That goes to like a little bit of like mindset too. Like if you put like some negative thoughts out there, like, and then you look for the negative comments, you'll find them.
Oh yeah.
But if you're like, whatever, that was funny, and like you just like have a positive outcome, like those things won't affect you.
Yeah.
Right? Because you'll always find somebody to like say some wacky shit, especially like now in the age of like trolls and all that.
Yeah.
And it's like, even to be a public figure is something of like, oh, like, do you even want to be a public figure? Like, no, right? Because you just get shit on left and right. People find any reason to cancel you, to say anything about you. You know, I get to be a coach, right? And like in being a good coach, you get used to like mentoring and talking to people, right? And having like interactions and trying to have positive interactions, right? But even in like a high school room, like you'll talk to like 30 kids and like 28 of them are like in it. And 2 of them are like fucking around. You're like, hey, like I just delivered like a powerful speech and like you 2 idiots like got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
So like they're always around, dude, like and it is a way of, what is it, balancing yourself too. Like don't take yourself too seriously too, because you're out there too.
Because even as a coach, like there's a level of like there's a performance aspect of when your athletes out there, like, and we're trying to like help you. There's been like times I'm like, move to your right, and my opponent moves to my competitor moves to the right and immediately gets like choked or arm bars. Like, oh shoot, that was my fault. It's like, move right. Oh shoot, I meant left. I'm sorry, I just lost you this match. We will collectively do better next time.
That Joey, like as you said, like, oh, like you cause that, like, it is that and it's not that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, we are always trying to help you win, and it's like, if you lose because of you listen to our advice, like, fuck, like that sucks too, right? Like, so it's like that's never really like, we're never there to deliberately sabotage you, but we're also human too.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, one of my wrestlers, I think something was up. He was either down and we're in the 3rd period and I put him on top, something wacky, right?
Yeah.
And he looked at me and then he still did it. And then I guess he lost the match. And then he was like, oh yeah, like that's why I was like, like, why did you say that? I was like, oh, like my bad. He's like, and then he was like, no, coach, it's okay. Like you can't expect us to, I don't know. You said something beautiful. Like, you can't expect us to win and like not make mistakes, and like you can't make a mistake either, something like that. And I was like, oh, like you little 9th grader, like come over here, like you're not running no sprints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was that, like, oh, dude, like I'm sorry, I thought we were in a different position or a different period, or you had the lead, And when you're a coach and you're running from mat to mat, like you could get caught up and a little bit like still in a match that just happened, but that match is over and now you're in a new match, but like your brain hasn't recalibrated, right?
Yeah.
And it's a different guy, a different skill set, a different everything.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the important things of recognizing, like within just like the creative process, starting a business, opening a gym, competing, coaching, whatever it is, like you have to expect on some level that like failure is inevitable, and you have to be willing to accept failure. It's like, I want to be a world champion, but I'm terrified of losing. Well, dude, like, okay, well, face that. You have to go out and you're going to have to compete 1,000 times, and you're going to lose a bunch of those.
What were you said you had like 3 elements for, it was time,
energy, and money.
And so like whenever there's a failure, like whenever there's a failure, I feel like as an adult, I have to pay in one of those 3 ways.
Of course.
You know, time, like, oh, what happened here? Like I freaking drove to the academy, but I left my freaking belt at home. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, money, like, money could be so many things, but like sometimes it's like a late fee.
Yeah.
It's like, why did I just not pay the bill? What's wrong with like,
also like everything that we've like talked about as far as business, like I already had some of the podcast stuff, but like tournaments, you got to buy medals, you got to get mats. And sometimes it's like you spend all this money to start your business and it doesn't make the money that you expected it to make. And like when we started the LA Jiu Jitsu Club, how we were like bleeding money. And then there was a seminar that happened at the house, And we were just like stupid. We didn't realize. We're like, okay, cool. We're going to automatically get a cut of this money. And the person told us like, no. Like I charge $40. Like I think we charged everyone else $40. He's like, but I charge $40. That's what I expect to get per person. You were supposed to charge over and above. And that was like a thing. It cost us time because we had helped set up the seminar and we were expecting that we were going to get money out of it. But then no money came out of it.
And so we made no money that day. We put in so much effort. It was a total learning experience. And then we had some homies that were like, well, we shouldn't pay because we're your friends and we're black belts. And like, what the hell are you even talking? Remember, you know what I'm saying? It's like, wait a minute. Like, we're like, dude, you don't know like what a heartbreak today was?
Yeah.
And you're going to freaking act like you had anything some skin in the game.
Which is why I think like, once again, your vibe attracts your tribe because of like, as somebody that does this stuff, man, like I would never go to like a friend's thing and be like, I don't got to pay, right? Like every now and then it's cool to get into like a thing like, oh, like, I'm here for free. But at the same time, like, especially with like a friend who's starting a business or anything like that, it's like, oh, no, like, let me help you support this business because I get it.
That is Joey, like where we're coming from, right?
Yeah.
And like any help is appreciated, right?
Yeah.
And if you're selling a product, it's financial help, right? To keep it going. And sometimes like people, it's not like, it's like what you could do for them.
Yeah.
And like those people, like just, you'll see them coming, you'll have awareness and like, oh, like you just cut them. After a little bit, they show who they are.
Yeah. Which has been cool that, as I said, with all the different things that we've created, and it's just like that, even as we were like doing this podcast, as it's just me and you for so many of these episodes, but then like the more we talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, like we're going to totally have Blair's going to be on this podcast at some point. Andrew Murillo is going to be on this podcast at some point. Raph Esparza is going to be on this podcast at some point.
Yeah, dude, we're going to have almost like a reunion series of all the homies and stuff. And like, dude, like, where are they now?
It's like also we don't need to because they all like, they're all out there in the world doing things.
I know a lot of people are like worried about Raph because like the Ozempic and stuff, but like he's doing okay.
God bless you, Raph. We love you.
Fight that good fight, Raph. Don't give up.
Yeah, I feel we've talked a good amount.
It's almost lunchtime. We're over here. We were just kind of vibing all day. Whenever we're here together, it's almost like we're gonna get a couple episodes in. Yeah. But we're also brainstorming, manifesting, putting some work in. But your boy's got to eat too sometimes, Yeah.
But that's what this is. That like some of this is like the kind of almost like the meta that because of this I believe. Even just literally like us talking into these microphones and the camera, it's like speaking it into the universe because it is. We are making these tournaments and these outdoor events, but some of these things are seeds of ideas, but it's literally like we're speaking into it and these microphones amplify that. People hear it. Hopefully, if you want to be a part of anything we're doing and want to be a part of these working parties, you may get an exciting job. You may get something that like, hey, we just need help moving these heavy things.
If you could clean a toilet, if you could do a hip escape, if you could move some stuff, we got a job for you.
Yeah. But it's like, we're going to keep creating and we got some big visions for just the jiu-jitsu community as a whole between competitions, outdoor open mats, gyms, competing, all that good stuff.
We're doing seminars, retreats, music, coloring books, stickers, socks, dog poop bags, whatever you name it, we got it.
We'll put our brand on anything. Also, sponsors out there, if you're liking this podcast, we'll shout you out from time to time. But with that, I think that's all we got for today. Always a pleasure.
We bid you adieu.